Hello and welcome to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Wednesday, November 20th. We have a big boy 8-game slate today. We're going to get into it on FanDuel and Draftkings. I think it is an interesting slate, a lot to go over, especially with all the injury news. Pelicans are down to 10, maybe 9 guys tonight, so that is one we absolutely need to break down. Now, let's get into it. Before we do, I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and on Twitter. Now, come join us at LionStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price for all sports we cover. Let's go. Let's get into it. All right. Getting over to FanDuel and starting with point guard, our high-owned. We got Ty Jerome, 4,700. He's obviously in a great spot. There's no Darius Garland tonight. They also have a multitude of other guys out, like Merrill, Okoro. So some ancillary pieces are going to pick up some minutes. And it's definitely a possible blowout situation with the Pelicans on the other side just sitting everybody. They have 10 guys right now, one of which is Elfrid Payton, who isn't on FanDuel or DFS or on DraftKings yet, and was literally signed this morning. So realistically, and then Missy is questionable. So there is a realistic path for them to really only play 8 guys tonight, unless they just throw Elfrid Payton out there as well. But with him signing literally today, maybe he does not play that much. Who knows? But getting back to the Cavs, there's no Garland, so Ty Jerome is expected to start in that spot. Last time he went for 36 when he started. And he has a couple games of 30 points. He's 4,700. I'm fine going to him. I am, however, getting to a little bit more Craig Porter right now at 4,200. I think he gets extra run if there's a blowout. He's going to get a lot of run off the bench. Played 25 minutes last night, and I think he could easily see 28 plus minutes. So not far off of what Ty Jerome will get, and he's been solid in when he's got run over the last couple seasons. So I think Craig Porter is very interesting. Donovan Mitchell, he's 9,100, but my issue with him, for him to really hit, he's going to have to do it in 3 quarters, and I think that is going to be hard to do. Or the Pelicans just somehow keep this game close with, scrubs playing tonight. So I think that is not likely. Cleveland is 15-1 now. They're a solid team. I think most likely they come out here and dominate the Pelicans, and the game is over quick. And with yesterday being a tough game, I think it's more likely that the Cavs will want to pull their starters a little earlier and let it run its course if they do get that big lead. So I get Mitchell. It is a great matchup for him, but there is a worry that it could be a blowout. Now, if it isn't a blowout, he's in a good spot. Trae Young versus the Warriors. Warriors have been pretty solid versus the point guard. Don't absolutely love the spot, but don't mind it. He does get a bump up if Jalen Johnson is out, though. Then Damian Lillard, first pivot of the day, 8,400 versus the Bulls. Bulls. It's a good spot. He played 36 minutes in his first game back from a concussion. He plays 36 in this, and he very well could smash. 8,400 is just too cheap for a guy that's put up 63 times this year. Definitely fine getting to some Dame in that spot. Another pivot, Jalen Brunson, 8,800. Look, there's a lot of value today, so we are going to be able to pay up for some spots, and the Suns have been poor versus point guard or versus guard for a bit. And if you look at what he did last year versus Phoenix, 64 and 84, he obviously can get to the Suns, and I think it's an interesting spot for him. Now, getting over to DraftKings, high owned Craig Porter, Ty Jerome, then Brandon Boston is popping up at 6,600. Look, Boston is going to have big usage. He's going to play a ton tonight. Just, they have to. Now, he is probably one of the few guys that loses minutes out of a blowout in this spot for the Pelicans. But regardless, just because of how slim they are, I think he plays at least 33, 34 minutes. And at 6,600 with the usage he's going to have, it's at least a little interesting. D-Book popping up. I'm absolutely fine with playing some Devin Booker. The only issue here is the pace. Both teams are pretty slow. Probably is going to be hard to have multiple high-priced guys in the same game really go nuts with the slower pace. Can it happen? Absolutely. And Booker is one that can get there. So definitely a little interested in Booker. On to shooting guard. We got Brandon Boston. We just covered him. He's 6,300 on FanDuel. Paul George, 7,600, 23% owned. He's versus the Grizzlies, who aren't very good. He's played 36 and 33 minutes the last two nights. He can easily get to 35, 36 tonight versus Memphis. This is a game that they can actually win. They have been terrible and been getting blown out from night to night. The other thing, though, is Tyrese Maxey is questionable now. So Maxey has been upgraded to questionable. Not sure if he plays or not. But that is one we need to keep an eye on. But fine going to some Paul George, just not getting a ton of them. I like Booker. Fine going to him, 23%. It's probably about where he should be. And I'll probably have right around that. Only other pivot I have here is the Pelicans, Antonio Reeves. So Reeves is a second-day draft pick. Hasn't really played much, but he's going to come off the bench today, play 22, 24 minutes, something like that. And he's been, 0.73 fantasy point per minute, 0.95 over the last 5 games. I'm fine getting to him in a blowout situation. He could see, 28 minutes, something like that. And at 3,500, it's a little interesting on FanDuel where it's rare to be able to get a guy sub 4K priced. Shooting guard on DraftKings. We got Levine, Brandon Boston, and Devin Booker with Reeves popping up also. Reeves only 3K over here, so bare at minimum. A little interesting for sure. Levine versus the Bucks. It isn't a slam dunk spot, but he does have a real solid ceiling for 7,100. He went for 57. He went for 45 last game out. If this game can stay close and get late into the game, it's interesting. Levine does have that Mondo ceiling that we look for. It's just that the usage is getting spread between him, White, and Giddey and Vooch. So it's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So Levine just will not be as consistent with some high scores. Boston we talked about, and let's get over to small forward on FanDuel. Javonte Green, 4,500. He's going to play big minutes tonight. And he's been playing, 26 to 30 minutes a night. He's 4,500. He's not super effective when he's on the court. Is at least 0.83 fantasy point per minute over his starts. Over the last 20 starts. That does go back to last year where he had some decent games. So is there a chance he can get there? Absolutely. He's going to play it enough minutes. His usage should be there. I don't mind taking some shots at Javonte Green. The other thing is we have that, 0.58 fantasy points per minute and starts over the last 5. This is with some other starters on the court. That should be a higher number tonight with, scrubs there. He is going to be one of the main usage players, or more likely one of the main usage players. Jamal Cain, 3,900. Coming off the bench, he's scored solid in short stints. If he is able to get 28, 30, 32 minutes tonight, he starts to look really interesting. We've seen games in years prior where he's really been able to go off. So I am absolutely interested in Kane, and a little bit lower owned than Green. So that is one to watch for sure. Then pivots, Jalen Williams. I mean, he's not much of a pivot. He's 19% owned, but how can you disagree with what he's been doing without Chet? He has 260 burgers without Chet, has, couple near 50s. I'm fine going back to the well with Jalen Williams. And Franz Wagner is another one just that keeps getting it done. This isn't the easiest spot versus the Clippers, but no Paulo. It's going back to the well. He's been doing good. Why not just keep it rolling? Draftkings, small forward. We got Jamal Cain, Levine, and Wagner. George Niang is popping up also. He's likely to get minutes. We have him at 31.5 right now. He's got 30, 26, and 25 in the last 3 games and been right around where he needs to be for 5-6x-ish. Can he get there? Yes. I just don't think he's super likely to get there. He's probably the first guy off the bench. Maybe he slides into the starting lineup. Actually, he probably does because no Okoro and no Wade tonight. So I would expect he slides into that starting lineup. But it's just going to be a lower usage spot than what we're used to because, he's got to share the ball with Mitchell and Mobley and Allen and all those guys. Reeves, we talked about. Let's get over to power forward on FanDuel. We got Giannis, 33% owned. The one thing here is that there is Damian Lillard back. We saw his usage drop off with Lillard back. He's still back. I like Giannis, but with Lillard back in the lineup, I am a little bit shy to try and go pay 11.7 for him. The ceiling is still there, but most likely outcome is 50, maybe low 60s, and that's just not going to get it done at that price. We do have a lot of value, though. So with all the value open, you can fully afford to get him. But what you're going to need to do is, those 9K guys that can get to 60s, you're going to need them to not get to 60s. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it probable? I don't know. But I'm fine taking some. Jake LaRavia, we've seen him really produce off the bench the last couple of years, and he should get extra minutes with the injuries on Memphis today. But their rotations have been absolutely terrible this year. Really hard to know how many minutes he's going to get. If he gets 26, 28, I like him. But there is the path to him only getting 20, 17, something like that. And in that case, he's just not going to get there. Wagner and Jalen Williams, we have talked about. So let's move it to power forward. Giannis. Jeremiah Robinson Earl. We have him at 33 minutes, 4,700. He is power forward and center eligible. So he is a little bit interesting. Don't mind getting to some of him on DraftKings, and I actually probably prefer him on DK than I do on FanDuel because I believe on FanDuel he is only center eligible. Yeah. So being dual position eligible, I do favor him here. Fine playing some. He's going to get the minutes. The one thing, though, is he has got run before, 32, 34, 33, and still not really gotten there. Yes, this is a spot where he could get a little bit more usage, but he's just not a, high fantasy point per minute player. And he's going against Jared Allen and Mobley. He's in a very tough spot versus those guys down low. So I don't love the spot for Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but he's too cheap to totally ignore. Robert Williams, the good old Time Lord. Dude is producing in very short amount of time. Played 25 minutes last game, 25 the game before that, so we got to expect right around that spot. And Thunder don't really have anybody of size that can compete against him. He very well could come out and be in line for a lot of different blocks and steals just with his size. He can produce in bunches. He can get it done quick. Definitely a little interested in the old time Lord. Franz, we've talked about. We will move it over to center. Highest owned center, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. At center, I'm not really a huge fan of Robinson Earl for the reason I just don't think his ceiling is really there. With only one center spot on FanDuel and so much value, I think it makes a little more sense to just kind of capitalize on some of that ceiling. Cat, Alperen Sengun, Mobley, Jaren Jackson, Vooch, all of them have giant ceilings. And if we go and put up 26, 28 from Robinson Earl, but one of those guys puts up 50 or 60, you're kind of dead in the water because those real points are just going to add up. And there's plenty of other spots we can get a $4,500 salary saver. So I think Robinson Earl is one to me that may be going a little over-owned in this spot. The other thing to consider is Missy is questionable. If he plays, he could be in line for that center spot. But once again, big men versus Cavs have been a tough spot as a whole. My pivot, Miles Turner versus the Rockets. With all the injuries, he could get to 33, 34 minutes. And when that happens, he has a big-time ceiling. He can add fantasy points in a lot of ways with blocks and rebounds, can shoot the ball. Definitely a little interested in him as well as the other guys we've mentioned as far as Sengun, Towns, the guys with some real solid ceiling. That's, I think, what I'm going to end up trying to capitalize on with the center spot tonight. I mean, even Zubac, even though it's versus the Magic, is a little interesting. He's been living in the 40s, and at 7,400, that's pretty interesting. I just can't see Earl, getting to 40-ish. I can see him mid-20s, maybe low 30s, and at low 30s, that could work, but I have a hard time to believe he's really going to be able to break the slate. Can he? Can I be totally wrong? Absolutely. So take that advice with a grain of salt, and you figure out you. Getting over to DraftKings at center, Giannis, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, and Robert Williams. Pretty much all the same stuff goes here. The one difference here on DraftKings is that you have the forward, the guard, and the utility spot. So it changes up it a little bit. And I don't mind Jeremiah Robinson Earl quite as much here on DraftKings. Also need to just be present that Carlo Matkovic could possibly be one you want to consider if Missy is out, as he's probably going to pick up some minutes being a big man, and big men just score a fantasy point. So on a spot like DraftKings where you can play two centers, it becomes a little more interesting. No idea what happens. Need to watch injury reports and whatnot throughout the day. But as always, let's have a good one, guys. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.